She was the queen of Tejano music, a rising star with a voice that could move millions of people, and a smile that could lit up every stage. Selena Quintanilla wasn't just an icon, she was a symbol of hope, culture, and dreams realized. But in a shocking twist that shocked the world, her life was cut tragically short by someone she trusted the most. This is the heartbreaking story of how fame, betrayal, and obsession led to the untimely death of one of music's brightest stars, but also a celebration of who she was and how people remember her. This is the story of Selena Quintanilla. Hi everyone and welcome back to a new video. I changed the setting because the setting I'm normally recording is currently unavailable. So this is my bedroom. I hope you like it. And I know I haven't posted a lot of videos this year, but I also have live. But I can promise you that I'm gonna make a lot of videos during spooky season. I will try to record a video each week of October because I was really thrilled last year. Not every video did great, but I really enjoyed making them. I already have a lot of subjects, so stay tuned for that in October. And this video will also be a very long video, so I hope you're gonna like it. But of course the story is very tragic. It has been 30 years since Selena lost her life, and recently there have been some updates about her case. I already wanted to make a video about her because I adore her, but I never really found the time to do it. And now since there was an update, I thought this was the best time to make a video. And most of the videos I have seen about her case are from people from America, and I thought it was nice to look at it from a European perspective. We actually hardly know about Selena because of her talent, but mostly because of her murder, and that's very tragic. So therefore I also want to talk a lot about her career and her personality and how people that loved her described her. I think if I watch her videos that she really had a big heart and she was very promising when it comes to her music career. I think she could have been as famous as Lady Gaga is now, or perhaps in her time Madonna. And I'm really glad that I got to know the person Selena was before she died, and her beautiful songs and yeah, her personality of course. And I really hope I can also tell other people about that in this video, because I learned about her amazing talent and her personality through videos about her death. And of course this is also one of them, but let's start with the nice things before we go to the nasty things. She is not defined by her murder, she's defined by her actions, and I think her murder also says something about who she was, because you will learn during this video how loyal she is to the people she loves the most, which also caused this tragic death, which is so sad. So if you can't handle that, please don't watch this video. And her death is a part of her story, of the story of her life, so we can't deny it. And this is of course a mystery channel, so we have to talk about it. And I think this will be my longest video, but Selena deserves it, so we're gonna give her the spotlight once more. And hopefully she will reach even more people than she already did. So let's start to look at her case with fresh eyes. And of course let's talk about her life before all this happened. Vamos! Selena was born on April 16th, 1971 at the Freeport Community Hospital in Freeport, Texas. She was the third child of her parents, Abraham Quintanilla Jr. and Marcela Ofelia Zamora Quintanilla. Her older siblings were Abraham III, who was also known as AB, which I will call him because her father is also named Abraham, and her sister Succes, who was 4 years old at the time. A very interesting story is the story of Marcela's pregnancy, because at first, when Marcela went to the doctors, they thought that she had a tumor inside of her belly, and they told her that it had to be surgically removed. But Abraham and Marcella wanted a second opinion before they decided to remove it. And luckily for them, the second doctor told them that he didn't think it was a tumor, but that Marcella was pregnant. And they were told that this baby would be a boy, so they started preparing for a baby boy. They even picked a name already, which was Mark Anthony. So when Marcella gave birth, it was a big surprise that this child wasn't a boy, but actually a girl. And of course, they didn't even have a name for a girl because they thought it was gonna be a boy. And a woman who was sharing the room with Marcella, she was the one who decided the name for the baby. She told Marcella that she thought that Selena was a great name, so therefore Marcella chose to name her daughter Selena. And Selena's father had a history in music. He was a former musician and singer. He was part of a band called Los Dinos, which might sound familiar to you. He joined them in the late 1950s. He was their vocalist and their bassist, and he left the music industry in 1970 to focus on providing for his family, as the band didn't achieve major commercial success. But his love for music would never leave him. He was determined to pass on his musical knowledge to his children. And he was teaching AB how to play the guitar. And one day when he was doing that, Selena came into the room. She began to sing along with her father while AB was playing the guitar. This was when she was around 6 years old. Abraham noticed Selena's fine voice and he was convinced that she was truly gifted. He saw potential in all his children, but especially in Selena, so he decided to start up this new group and he based the name on the name of his former band. And he called the band Selena y Los Dinos, which translates to Selena and the Guys. The members of the group changed occasionally, but AB, Succes and Selena would always be a part of the group. Selena, of course, as the singer, AB on the bass and Succes on the drums, which I think is super cool, a woman on the drums. And since Abraham was already familiar with the music industry, he knew people with a recording studio, and one of the people he knew was a friend who owned a recording studio. So he asked them if his children could record some songs there to build a foundation for the music career of his children. This would be the first step to Selena's career, even though she didn't know that yet. After working for a boss for several years, Abraham opened his first Tex-Mex restaurant in 1980 in Lake Jackson, which was called Papagayos. Selena y Los Dinos were, of course, a big part of the entertainment there. They often performed at nights, and Selena was already a star at 9 years old. Abraham could see how her timing and pitch were always perfect. The band kept performing at the restaurant until the restaurant was forced to close 1 year after it opened. This was probably because of the recession, which was caused by the 1980s oil glut. The family had to declare bankruptcy and they were evicted from their home. The family relocated to Corpus Christi, also in Texas, because Abraham was able to find a job there. And even though the children weren't able to perform in the restaurant anymore, Abraham took his musical ambitions with him to Corpus Christi. He took promoting and managing the band to a next level. Selena y Los Dinos played on street corners, weddings, quinceañeras and fairs to earn money for the family. Marcella also traveled with them to take care of the family and the other band members. Selena grew up speaking English, but her father Abraham decided to learn Selena Spanish so that she could sing in Spanish and she could resonate with the Latin community in America. At first she only learned the lyrics of her songs phonetically, but eventually she also learned to speak Spanish and she became fluent at it. Of course, first it wasn't fluent, but eventually when she grew older, her Spanish also improved.
¿Qué tal, amigo?
Habla Selena y Los Dinos. Y ahora vamos a ver el nuevo video, el más reciente video, aquí en
On the Max.
On the
Nah,
Max.
let's do better.
We're gonna say y Los Dinos.
Y Los Dinos.
Go get that. It's like that. Come on, get into it. Come on. Don't hear.
¿Qué tal, amigo?
And even though she loved singing Spanish and she loved her community, she was also very eager to record songs in her native language, English. The genre of the band was Tejano Music, which was a male-dominated Spanish language genre. It came from German influences of polka, jazz and country music, and it was mostly popular in Mexican communities inside the USA. Selena y Los Dinos gained a lot of appreciation, but there were places where the hate against Mexican Americans was very strong. In places like that, the band was often booed, or even worse. On one occasion at a wedding, people even started throwing food at them. But the band stayed positive and the popularity of the band grew. And at first they didn't earn a lot of money, but they never gave up on their dream. Eventually the demands of Selena's performances and her travel schedule started to interfere with her education. So her father decided to take her out of school when she was in the 8th grade. Her teachers of course did not agree with it and they were very worried, and they even threatened Abraham to report him to the Texas Board of Education. The teachers always noticed how tired Selena was when she was at school and they were very worried about her well-being. But all of their complaints were in vain because Selena was taken out of school anyway. Of course, Selena also didn't agree with the fact that she was taken out of school. So when she was older, she decided to enroll back into school.
Music is not a very stable business. You know, it comes and it goes, and so does money. But your education stays with you for the rest of your life. And when you have that education and you have nothing to fall back on, you can go and get a job anywhere.
She earned her high school diploma when she was 17 from the American School of Correspondence in Chicago, and she was also accepted at Louisiana State University. She enrolled at Pacific Western University, taking up business administration as her major subject, which came in handy for her future clothing line. But more on her clothing line later. Let's go back to little Selena. Selena y Los Dinos had their own tour bus, which they started using in the 1980s until the early 90s to travel around Texas and the Southwest to perform. And the bus was called Big Bertha. She was old, beaten up, white and maroon. It was a representation of hustle, sacrifice and dreams. And the bus was far from glamorous because it broke down a lot of the times. Sometimes the family and of course the band members were forced to sleep inside the bus because they didn't earn enough money to stay in a hotel. Even paying for gas proved difficult, but they managed. And before you could go on tour and perform, you had to have your own songs, of course. At first, the band was signed to Freddie Records in 1981, which was a regional Tejano label based in their hometown Corpus Christi. Their first album, called Selena y Los Dinos, was released in 1984. Eventually, Abraham and the record company didn't see eye to eye, and Abraham decided to drop the record deal. 3 years later, another record company called GP Productions discovered Selena y Los Dinos performing and signed the group for a yearly record contract. And even though they were very successful, there were always people who were doubting them, especially because they were still so young, and people also thought that a group with a female singer could never be successful. In 1987, the band released Muñequito de Trapo, and this was a very important album for Selena y Los Dinos. An increase of sales helped to spread the news about the band, which led to a promotion and a showcase during the Tejano Music Awards. And this was of course a big deal because this was the event you wanted to be at when you were a Tejano performer. And of course, You didn't only want to perform there, but you also wanted to win an award. Which in this case happened to Selena. At the Tejano Music Awards of 1986, Selena won the Female Vocalist of the Year awards. And the band also won a few other awards.
Thank you to all you people in Texas that have supported us, Selena y Los Dinos. When I win, they win. And when they lose, I don't know them. Thank you.
After this happened, they focused even more on Tejano music and on Mexican music. And this gained them even more recognition in the Tejano world. The harsh days without any money were finally over. This was a transformative time for everyone. And this was not only the beginning, because things would change very soon. José Behar was looking for a new Gloria Estavan. He recently opened the Latin division of EMI Records, called EMI Latin, and he wanted new talent with star power. And he found this in Selena when she was performing with the Los Dinos in 1989 at the Tejano Music Awards. While she was performing, the whole place blew up from so much excitement and enthusiasm emanating from the charismatic Selena. He signed her not long after her performance. But not as a band. He wanted to have her as a solo performer. The band would remain at her side, but Selena would be the face and the name. They changed the logo into simply Selena, and the band would still remain at her side. And this also proved that Selena was very much a family person, that she wasn't arrogant and wanted success for herself. She wanted to share the success with her family members and the other band members. She was a person with the biggest heart and she gave more than she took. Now we're going to the romantic part of the story. In the year of the big success, the lead guitarist of the band chose to leave Selena y Los Dinos because he was getting married. So the band was looking for a new band member. So AB took it on himself to find a new guitarist for the band. He heard good things about a man called Pérez, who was around 20 years old at the time. AB decided to watch a rehearse of Chris and the band he was a part of with some of the band members of Los Dinos. And the band that Chris was a part of also made Tejano music. AB really liked what he saw, so he decided to invite Chris to a performance of Selena. After the performance, AB decided to ask Chris if he wanted to join the Los Dinos. And Chris agreed, but he wasn't hired yet. He also had to audition for the father of AB and of course of Selena and Succes, Abraham. And Abraham initially disliked Chris because he thought that Chris' rocker image didn't fit the band. He was afraid that it would hurt Selena's perfect image and that it would ruin her career. But eventually AB was able to convince his father to hire Chris. AB and Chris would become close friends and occasionally they would work together to write songs for Selena. And with this new guitarist, the band was complete again. Selena released her self-titled debut album on October 17th, 1989. This album peaked at number 7 on the US Billboard Regional Mexican Album Chart, and Selena became an icon in Texas, which was also something that Coca-Cola discovered. They asked her to become one of their spokespeople in Texas. She agreed, and her brother AB and Chris were tasked to make the jingle that was gonna be used in the first 2 commercials. After the commercial was filmed, AB wanted to celebrate the success and treated the band to a vacation in Acapulco, Mexico. And this was where Chris started to develop feelings for Selena. And this wouldn't be a problem if Chris wasn't already in a relationship with someone in San Antonio. And Selena was also catching feelings for Chris, but she knew that he had a girlfriend, so she backed off. Chris decided that it was better for them to distance themselves from each other. And this would of course be a hard task because they were working together. Eventually it proved impossible, so Chris decided to end things with his girlfriend in San Antonio. At a Pizza Hut restaurant, Selena and Chris confessed their feelings for each other. And soon after this, they started to have a relationship. And since Abraham did not approve of Chris, they decided to keep it a secret. They were afraid that Abraham would try to break them up. But it was not easy for Selena to keep this from her father, because she had a very good relationship with him and she didn't want to hurt his feelings. So Selena was a solo artist and she was touring with her band, and she was ready to release her second studio album, Ven Conmigo, in September 1990. Selena became more and more famous, and of course this led to Selena having more and more fans. One of her fans was Yolanda Saldívar, and she was 30 years old when she contacted Abraham in 1991. Even though she looks like she is 50. Because I am 30 years old, and I will put the photo here, compare it. Do you think she looks my age? It already says something about her if you ask me. She wanted to start a fan club for Selena in San Antonio, and Abraham thought it was a very good idea. A fan club would bring more exposure to the band. And Yolanda would become the acting president of the fan club. Eventually, Yolanda and the fan club proved to be a great asset. There was a period when the fan club consisted of 1,500 fans. This made Selena and the family trust in Yolanda's capabilities, and they all became very close friends with her. In the same year that the fan club started, Selena was approached by Salvadorian singer Alvaro Torres to sing a duet together. The song Buenos Amigos peaked at #1 on the US Billboard Top Latin Songs chart, which gave Selena her first #1 single. The music video even earned Selena and Torres 2 nominations at the 1992 Billboard Music Awards. The track was also nominated for Duo of the Year at the 1992 Tejano Music Awards. Stations that would normally dismiss Selena's songs would play this duet on their stations. Which is of course too late and very stupid. But at least it helped Selena to get noticed in the east and west coast of the United States. Selena and the band were now able to tour there as well. Back to the romance in Selena's life. Selena and Chris were of course dating. And they still tried to keep it a secret, even for the band members. But secrets always have a way to reveal themselves. And sometimes other people have a hand in it. And in this case, it was Succes who would become the spoilsport. She saw Selena and Chris flirting with each other in the bus, and she decided to tell her father about it. Such a sister move if you ask me. Abraham of course became furious and he took Chris aside. He told him that his relationship with Selena was over. Chris pretended to be okay with it, but of course he was very much in love with Selena, so they kept dating in secret. Selena's mother Marcella was not against this relationship, so this gave Selena some hope that it might be different in the future. But Selena and Chris weren't good actors. So one day when Selena and Chris were sitting in the back of the bus, Abraham stopped the bus and walked towards them. He once again told them that their relationship was over. And he started yelling at them. And eventually Selena started yelling back at him. And Chris was the one who tried to calm them down. But eventually Abraham started saying that Chris was a cancer in the family, which of course angered Chris. And Abraham started to threaten to disband the group if Chris wouldn't leave Selena. This left them powerless and Selena and Chris decided to back off. Abraham fired Chris from the band and he kicked him out of the bus. He prevented Selena from running off with him, but of course this left Selena heartbroken. Chris moved back in with his father and played music whenever he could. He missed Selena, but he felt at peace because the toxic situation with Abraham and the other members of the band was over. Selena had no peace at all. She truly suffered from this. The separation hit her hard. And of course, Chris also missed Selena, but there was nothing he could do. Selena and the band kept on touring, and during this time Selena kept in contact with Chris. On the morning of April 2nd, 1992, Selena decided to visit Chris in the hotel where he was staying. She knew the address, so she pounded at the door of the hotel room. Chris opened the door and Selena rushed inside. She was crying and she was saying that she couldn't live without him. And she also told him that she wanted to marry him on that same day. Chris didn't think that this was wise, considering her emotional state. Selena told him that this was the only chance they had, because her father would never agree to a marriage, and he wouldn't even come to their wedding anyway. And if they got married, her father had no choice but to leave them alone. And then they could be together openly. Chris eventually agreed, and they eloped in Oasis Country, Texas. They wanted to keep their elopement a secret for a while, until they found the right time to tell the family members. But just a few hours after they tied the knots, the news about their wedding was all over the radio stations. Selena's family directly tried to track her down, and eventually they were able to do so. Abraham was of course furious about the news, and he decided to alienate himself for a while. Selena and Chris moved into an apartment in Corpus Christi, and they were finally able to start their lives together. Eventually, Abraham came through and he apologized for his behavior. He was afraid that Chris would force Selena to end her career, but he realized that this was not the case. He accepted the marriage, and he also took Chris back into the band. After that, Chris became a fully accepted member of the Quintanilla family. Remember Yolanda? She was still running the fan club, and she became closer and closer to the family. She even had their phone numbers and of course their trust. And eventually the family had so much trust in her that they started to give her more responsibilities. She became so close with Selena that she eventually became somewhat of an advisor and an assistant. Of course, as a fan, this was the ultimate goal, because who can say that you become close with the one that you adore so much? If you look at pictures from Selena during the time that she knew Yolanda, you can often notice Yolanda in the background. But what looked like a friendship or a work friendship started to become more and more toxic. People around Selena started to notice that Yolanda became more and more possessive and controlling. It was very difficult to get to Selena without speaking to Yolanda first. And this would get worse and worse. A month after Selena married Chris, Selena released her third studio album, which was called Entra, Mundo. This was in May 1992. This album was critically acclaimed as a breakthrough album, which meant that Selena was close to becoming a true star. The album became 10 times platinum, and it became the first Tejano album by a female artist to sell over 300,000 copies. But of course, Selena also faced backlash, because when you get successful, there are always people who want to break you. Her Spanish was still far from fluent, and some people were very negative about it.
Voy a decir un secreto.
A ver.
Casi todos los diseñadores ponen, si es un 16, lo ponen que es un 14.
Un 14.
14, perdón. Disculpe.
14.
When she went to Mexico for a press conference, the EMI Latin executives were terrified that she would ruin everything with her bad Spanish. But they really underestimated Selena's capability to capture the hearts of the people. She was very charming and the public adored her, and they even named her the artist of the people. Como la Flor, one of the songs from her album, became immensely popular in Mexico. It helped Selena to dominate the Latin music charts. And that was very special, because Mexican people most of the time didn't like Mexican Americans, which Selena of course was. The song was even nominated as Song of the Year at the Tejano Music Awards of 1993. But the Tejano Music Awards were nothing compared to what the future had in store for our Selena. Selena decided to give a free concert at the Memorial Coliseum in Corpus Christi, which she called Live. The performance was recorded and released as an album. And this album was so well received that Selena won the Grammy for Best Mexican American Album at the 36th Grammy Awards.
I'd like to thank the company Capital My Latin, Jose Bejar, for making tonight possible and having faith in us, putting faith in us 4 years ago. I also like to thank my band, Los Dinos, my father, Abraham, my brother, who's a producer of my music, and also my sister. Thank you for all the support. And I also like to thank all the My Latin family. Thank you for having faith in me. I love you.
And this was, of course, the highest achievement you could get. I mean, every artist wants a Grammy. Only then you are a big deal to the public. So finally, Selena became a true star.
When they first told us that we were nominated, we all freaked out. We couldn't believe it. And the first thing, I promise, the first thing that came to my mind was like, I have to take a camera so I can take a picture with all these stars.
Right, yeah.
It didn't hit me later until I was like, oh my God, what if we win, or
Yeah.
And we went out there and they didn't let me take my camera in. That's one of the things. I didn't get to take any pictures till afterwards.
Yeah.
But we were sitting there when they announced, I had this huge knot in my stomach. I was so nervous. And then they announced the winner. I mean, we all...
Well, congratulations, guys.
Great.
The album won many more prizes and Selena was invited to act in telenovelas, making her first acting debut. One of the telenovelas even garnered record ratings for the series. And besides Selena's talent for singing, she also had a talent for picking her clothes. She was a true fashion icon, and in fact I still use some of her looks in my personal life as well. She loved to choose the clothes that she would wear on stage, and sometimes she even made them herself. So it was no surprise that Selena decided to open up her own boutiques and manufacture and design her own clothing line in 1994. She opened 2 different boutiques which she called Selena etc. One of them was in Corpus Christi and the other one was in San Antonio. She sold her signature line of clothing and jewelry. And the stores were quite unique because the stores also consisted in-house beauty salons. You could get the whole package because you could get your hair done and you could get a nice outfit to go with it. And Selena was super passionate to promote her stores and all the clothes that would go with it. If you watch videos of her, you can see it in her eyes. She was really so pleased with what she had done.
Hola, ¿qué tal, amigos? Ahorita estamos aquí en mi shop en Corpus Christi y quiero enseñarles algunas cosas aquí.
And it's quite contagious to smile with her because you can just feel her happiness and excitement. But of course, Selena wasn't able to manage her own stores. She was very busy with singing. So Selena and her family members started to look for a manager. It was Selena's father, Abraham, who suggested to ask Yolanda to manage both boutiques. He said she seemed nice and she already did a great job with the fan club, so he thought she was the one who could manage the stores. At least they believed that she was good in managing the fan club, but more on that later. But they only believed that she was good in managing the stores, because in reality Yolanda had no business experience. She was a nurse before working for the Quintanillas. The boutiques earned around $5 million, according to the Hispanic Business magazine, and Selena was ranked among the 20th wealthiest Hispanic musicians in 1993 and in 1994. Selena was ready to release her 4th studio album, which was called Amor Prohibido, sorry for my pronunciation, in March 1994. The album was a huge success. It sold 500,000 copies by the end of the year, and it debuted at number 3 on the US Billboard Top Latin Albums chart and on number 1 on the US Billboard Regional Mexican Album chart. After peaking at number 1, it remained on the Top Latin Albums top 5 for the rest of the year and into early 1995. Nobody could deny Selena's success anymore. Her album popularized Tejano music among younger and wider audiences. It was quite revolutionary for the genre. It was once again nominated for a Grammy, and it won Record of the Year at the 1995 Tejano Music Awards And it also won Album of the Year at the 1995 Lo Nastro Awards. Selena was considered to be bigger than Tejano itself, and many media outlets started to call her the Queen of Tejano. Selena was on top. There was not much more that she could reach in the Spanish-speaking market, at least according to her record company. The chairman of the EMI, Charles Koppelman, wanted Selena to record English songs. He wanted to promote Selena as an English-speaking solo pop artist. Selena kept on touring while EMI started to work on preparing her crossover album. They even hired Grammy Award winning composers to help them write the music. And of course, this was something that Selena had always wanted. This was her chance to become famous in other parts of America or even in the world. In February 1995, Selena gave the show of a lifetime when she performed at her sold-out concert at the Houston Astrodome. This would be Selena's last televised concert before her life would tragically end. Which means that we are now going to a darker place of her life. So if you want to finish it on a positive note, you can stop the video here, because we're going to talk about the nitty-gritty. During all this success, the boutiques were still there. Selena wanted to expand and open boutiques in Mexico. The boutiques were successful and she became popular in Mexico, so it wouldn't be a bad move. Speaking about moving, Yolanda decided to move closer to Selena. So Yolanda moved from San Antonio to Corpus Christi. And I couldn't find out if Selena was happy about it or if she didn't like it. But if we can say something about Selena's character, I think she was sweet about it. Even if she didn't like it, she wouldn't have said it. But Selena was forced to put her plans on hold because she found out that the boutiques weren't doing very well. They were losing money. And in addition to that, the fan club also started to receive some backlash. Abraham started to get complaints from customers that they didn't receive their merch or their money back or even other items that they ordered. And not only people in the fan club were complaining, there were also complaints from the employees of the boutiques, and they were all about Yolanda. They told Abraham that Yolanda was treating everyone very bad and that she even fired people without any reason, only because she didn't like them. Abraham took these complaints seriously and he decided to look into Yolanda's financial records with the boutiques and the fan club. Abraham was shocked to find out that a lot of money was missing. To be exact, $30,000 was missing. And who was stealing this money? Yes, Yolanda was the one. She forged checks to give the money to herself, which was of course a big crime. And during this time, people started to warn Selena about Yolanda. They felt uneasy around Yolanda and they felt that something was not right. They also told Selena about Yolanda's behavior in the boutiques and the fan club. More and more stories about Yolanda were spreading. One of the employees discovered that Yolanda's house was covered in Selena merch when she came to pick up some zippers at Yolanda's house. Her room was covered with Selena posters and pictures, burning candles and a library of Selena tapes, which she played to entertain guests. This is of course a big red flag. She even told the employees that she wanted to be like Selena. This is all unhealthy behavior. Another employee who was named Martin went to the dentist, and when he tried to check out, his insurance was denied. And this was strange because all the employees in Selena's service had insurance. He asked Yolanda about it and she told him that she would take care of it, but she also asked him to not tell Selena. But of course Martin decided to tell Selena anyway. And at first Selena didn't want to believe what everyone was saying. Her father tried to reason with her. He told her that Yolanda was a bad influence. But of course he was also saying this about Chris. So Selena told him that he often distrusts people and therefore he couldn't really say anything about it. He could only tell her that he was afraid that Yolanda would be a bad influence and that she had to be careful around her. Yolanda's managing skills and her behavior caused concerns with the employees, including the fashion designer and Selena's cousin Deborah Ramirez. After this all, Abraham decided that he had to talk with Selena once again, but not alone. He held a meeting with Selena and Succes on March 9th, 1995. This was around nighttime and he decided to invite Yolanda as well. And this meeting was held at his own record company. This would be the night that they would confront Yolanda about this all. So Yolanda came and Abraham informed her about all the inconsistencies and the money that was missing. And he told her that if she couldn't give him a good reason, that he would involve the local police. Yolanda claimed that money was missing because members of the fan club were demanding free items. Yolanda tried to play mind games with the family, but they were not buying it this time. At this point, Yolanda was a pathological liar who would say anything to save her own skin. But Abraham knew that the evidence he had was enough to distrust her. He even found out that Yolanda opened all the bank accounts for the business under her sister's name, which was Maria Elida. Yolanda claimed that she wasn't able to open a bank account under her own name, but of course she didn't know why she wasn't able to do it. Which was of course another lie, and Abraham knew it. Yolanda's behavior during this conversation was very strange. She could stare at the family with eyes cold as ice, and another moment she would become super emotional. Of course, in the end it did not matter. Abraham told her that he was going to fire her and he broke all contact with her. However, Selena did not break contact with Yolanda, even though the family tried to convince her to do so. This is of course really sad because we could say what if she did. But Selena was a very nice person and she just believed that there was something good in Yolanda. And she also wanted to open the boutiques in Mexico even though the other stores weren't doing well. And she thought that the only person who could do that was Yolanda. Yolanda was able to realize her vision before, so therefore she thought she could do it again. And remember, Selena was still very young. She was 23, I think, 24. So that also comes with some naivety. And she was also, of course, a person with the biggest heart, which also meant that she probably gives people more chances than some other people do. And also don't forget that Yolanda was a very manipulative person, so she had Selena wrapped around her finger. Selena also needed Yolanda's bank records, statements and financial records for tax purposes. And Yolanda's name remained on the payroll after the meeting because the family still needed to retrieve the financial records that were stolen. The next day, Abraham noticed that Yolanda was lurking around his production company on the parking lot. He yelled at her and chased her off the premise. On that same day, Yolanda had a phone call with Selena. It was not a very nice phone call because Selena and Chris started arguing with Yolanda over the items that were unaccounted for. They didn't think that Yolanda's explanation was satisfactory. Of course, Abraham had discovered that Yolanda was forging checks with her sister's name and that she was cashing them in herself. And they also discovered that the ring that she gifted to Selena was not a gift from her. Yolanda bought the ring on the company's credit card and asked money from the employees to buy a gift for Selena. But of course she forgot to tell Selena that it was a gift from everyone when she gave the ring to Selena. Anyway, Selena loved the ring and you can see her wearing the ring many times on pictures. But of course, if she knew the real story, I think she would have thrown the ring away. Eventually, Selena came to realize that it was better to cut ties with Yolanda. So on March 10th, she decided to remove Yolanda's name from the boutique's bank account and she would replace her as president of the fan club. Yolanda could feel the heat under her feet and she just totally snapped. She knew it was over and she felt as if Selena had betrayed her. She decided to go to San Antonio to buy a gun, and it was a 5-shot Taurus model 85 snub-nosed revolver. She also bought 5 hollow point bullets, which can cause more lethal impact and more extensive injuries than typical bullets. And to be honest, I have no idea what kind of gun it is because we are not allowed to buy guns here in Europe, which I applaud. And she told the employee of the store that she needed a gun because some of the family members of the people she nursed at home were threatening her. On March the 13th, Yolanda went to her lawyer and she wrote her resignation. According to Selena's father, she did this to provide an alibi. On that same day, Selena was visiting Miami and Yolanda drove to Corpus Christi to check in at the Sand and Sea Motel. The next day, Yolanda contacted Selena to schedule a meeting. Selena was back in Corpus Christi and she was open to talk to Yolanda. She didn't really like arguments and she wanted to resolve things. Yolanda told Selena that they had to meet up at a parking lot 25 miles from Corpus Christi because the traffic was really bad. Which was of course very fishy because they were in the same city at the moment of the call. This is also why Abraham believes that this was Yolanda's first attempt to kill Selena. Selena met with Yolanda on this parking lot and she told Yolanda that she could remain in charge of her business affairs in Mexico, but only until she found a replacement. At least this is what Abraham says in a later interview. But then, suddenly, Yolanda shows Selena the gun. Selena, of course, was shocked and she told Yolanda to get rid of it. Yolanda was of course still threatening Selena and Selena remained calm. She told Yolanda that she could protect her from her father and that she would take care of Yolanda. And this is probably why Yolanda decided to put the gun away. Selena decided not to report Yolanda to the police because she was afraid that Yolanda would seek revenge on her family, and Yolanda decided to go back to the store and return the gun. She told the employee in the store that she had received a .22 caliber pistol from her father. I really don't know why she had to share that information with them. But of course Yolanda did not change in any way. She kept stealing from Selena when she was in Mexico. She stole Selena's perfume samples and she also stole other bank statements. And it wouldn't take long before Yolanda would snap again. Remember that crossover album which I talked about earlier? Well, it was finally time to work on that. So Selena went to Tennessee and she brought Yolanda with her. When they were there, Selena started asking Yolanda about some bank statements that were missing. Of course, Yolanda couldn't answer the questions that Selena had. So Selena told her that if they returned to Texas, that Yolanda needed to take care of the bank statements and return them to her. This must have scared Yolanda because when they returned to Texas, Yolanda immediately went back to the store and repurchased the same gun on March the 27th. After that, she booked a motel room and she asked Selena to come to her. But Selena couldn't come with anyone, she had to come alone. Selena agreed and she went to the motel. But when Selena arrived at the motel, word already got out that she was going to be there, so a lot of fans were waiting for her. The fans were asking pictures and autographs and the whole place was filled with them. And according to Abraham also in a later interview, this was the reason why Selena's life was spared, because the fans saved her from a second murder attempt. Yolanda of course didn't want to have any witnesses. But the trouble was far from over. A third murder attempt would occur. Yolanda went on a trip to Monterrey, Mexico in the last week of March. And she claimed that while she was there, she was raped. she called with someone named Martinez, and he recalled that it sounded as though someone was trying to snatch away the telephone on her end. He sent someone to her room to investigate what happened, but when the employees searched Yolanda's room, she had already left. Which is of course once again very suspicious. Yolanda returned to Corpus Christi on the 30th of March, and she decided to check into a Days Inn motel, and from there she once again contacted Selena. And she told Selena about the grape. According to Abraham, this was once again to provide an alibi. Yolanda told Selena that she wanted to give her the bank statements, and of course once again that Selena had to come alone. But Selena decided to bring her husband Chris with her. He waited outside in the truck while Selena went inside to retrieve the bank statements. And according to Abraham, this is the reason why Yolanda once again didn't kill Selena, because Chris knew that Selena was with her, so therefore she could never escape her fate. Chris and Selena drove back home, and in the car Selena checked the bank statements. This made her discover that the bank statements weren't the right ones, and she became very angry. And I think you have to go pretty far to get Selena angry. Yolanda tried to contact Selena through her pager. And a pager is an ancient product now, but you can compare it to a text message or a vocal message. But I believe you can only receive it and you can send something back, but I don't know how it works, because how can you send one if you can't receive one? And this time Yolanda asked Selena to take her to the hospital. She claimed that she was losing a lot of blood because of her grape. But Abraham believed that this was once again a reason to lure Selena in and try to kill her once again. Luckily, Chris told Selena that it was already very late and he didn't want her to go all by herself. Selena decided to listen to him, at least for now. But she was very determined to confront Yolanda once again. And not because she wanted to listen to her or help her, but because she was just pissed. Yolanda had lied to her and tricked her repeatedly, so Selena just needed those bank statements and wanted to cut everything off. So she decided to meet up with Yolanda the next day to be done with it once and for all. And she also decided not to tell Chris about it, because she knew deep down that he would never let her go all by herself. If only things were different. According to a few sources, Selena told them that she was going to pick up the stolen perfume samples and of course the documents, and after that she would fire and break all contact with Yolanda. The next day at 7:30 a.m. on March the 31st, Selena left her home for the last time to go to Yolanda's motel room. When Selena arrived, Yolanda told her the whole story about the grape. She really pulled the sympathy card. We don't know why, but Selena agreed to ride Yolanda to the hospital. They went to the doctor's regional hospital, and while they were there, the medical staff noticed that Yolanda showed clear symptoms of depression. And Yolanda told the doctors that she had lost some blood, which angered Selena because Yolanda told her that she was losing a lot of blood, which was once again a lie. The bruises on Yolanda's body also made the doctors question if there was truly a grape, because they didn't look like bruises that you would get from that. And since Yolanda was officially from San Antonio, they couldn't really examine her fully, so she had to go there if she wanted a good exam of her body, because there she could get a giant collegial examination. Sorry, very difficult words. And now we go to the final moments of Selena's life. Yolanda and Selena drove back to the motel, and while they were driving, Selena told Yolanda that it was better for them to stay apart for a while, because her father would not approve of it. And I also think that it was a polite way of her to say that she was done with her. Selena had tried to call her father that morning, but she was unable to reach him. Her father, on the other hand, had also tried to find out where Selena was, because she was due to record a song at his record company that same morning. Abraham decided to call Chris, and he asked him if he knew where Selena was, but he didn't. Chris called Selena to ask her where she was, and she told him that she forgot that she had the session and that she had to take care of one last item of business. And if she was done with that, she would come to the studio. And this would be the last time that Selena would ever speak to Chris. Selena walked with Yolanda to her motel room at 11:45 a.m. and not long after that they started to argue. Even other motel guests could hear them. Some guests even went to the front desk to complain about two women who were arguing over a business matter. Selena told Yolanda that she could not trust her anymore, and she demanded that Yolanda would return the right financial papers. And she also told Yolanda that after this she would have nothing to do with her anymore. They were done. Selena threw the satchel with the bank statements onto the bed when Yolanda showed her the gun. At 11:48 a.m. Yolanda pointed the gun to Selena. Selena, scared to death, tried to flee, and she ran towards the door of the motel room. She tried to scream for help, but Yolanda pulled the trigger and shot through Selena's shoulder. Her lower right shoulder, to be specific. The bullet punctured an artery and came out on the other side. And this caused extreme bleeding. Witnesses at the motel stated that they heard a lot of noise coming from the bullets and that they heard a woman screaming bitch, which was of course Yolanda calling Selena a bitch. And what I'm about to tell you really breaks my heart. Selena started to run, of course, while she was bleeding intensely. And running while you're injured like that is extremely dangerous, but of course Selena had no choice. A wound like hers needs immediate medical attention, and she couldn't have it at that moment. She ran across the courtyard, which was a long distance, leaving a trail of blood behind her. According to the motel staff, Yolanda seemed very calm, not shocked at all by what she had done. At first she tried to chase Selena, but eventually she decided to return to her motel room. Selena decided to run towards a man she saw standing at the outside of the hotel, and his name was Carlos. And she started to scream at him and she said, "They'll shoot me again." After that she reached the lobby and she was soaked in blood. She looked flustered and scared and she was screaming. She told them the room number of Yolanda. She also told them that Yolanda had shot her and that they had to close the door because otherwise she would shoot her again. And it's very likely that she told them this because she thought that she wasn't gonna make it and she wanted them to know who did this to her. At 11:49 she fell to the floor because she had lost too much blood, and the hotel manager called 911.
What's wrong, man? We have a woman ran in the lobby, said she's been shot. She's laying on the floor in her blood. Okay. Where are you? How old is she? She looks about 20. Okay. You don't know anything else about who might have done it or anything like that? It's another lady. That's all I know. We're trying to find out. A 911 emergency? We need a police officer. Someone's been shot over here at Navigation. Days in? Days in? Yes. Okay, what room number? The lady in 158 shot the lady over here. Okay, is the lady in 158 still there? I don't know. They shot somebody. She's taking off. She's with a vehicle on foot? She's in a vehicle on foot. They don't know. What does she look like? Yes. Her name? Yes. Yolanda. Yolanda? She's a suspect? Yes, ma'am. She can't tell me nothing. The lady that shot's laying here on the floor. Okay, where did she get shot at? What part of her body? In her back. In the back.
But her condition started to deteriorate in a rapid speed. The motel sales manager tried to talk to Selena and get a conversation out of her, but Selena was losing her consciousness. She was moaning and her movements also decreased. Eventually her eyes rolled back and she became limp. The ambulance arrived very fast. It came within 1 minute and 55 seconds. The paramedics removed her bloody green sweater and they applied a Vaseline gauze to her wounds, which stopped the surface bleeding. But her heartbeat was very slow, which meant that the paramedics had to perform cardiopulmonary resurrection to keep her blood circulating. But in all honesty, they already knew that it was too late. One paramedic stated that he could not detect a pulse when he placed his 2 fingers on her neck. He could only feel muscle twitches, but that can also happen after you died. And I'm not saying that she was already dead, but they just knew that the chances of her survival were very slim. And next to that, she had lost an enormous amount of blood. She was literally laying in a pool of her own blood. And they tried to insert a needle into Selena, but her veins were even collapsed because she had lost that much blood. And that means that the blood pressure is also gone. Selena was rushed to the Corpus Christi Memorial Hospital at 12 p.m. and while they took Selena there, Yolanda tried to flee the motel. She went inside her motel room and she wrapped the gun into towels. She took it with her when she left the motel and she entered her pickup truck. It is believed that she was planning to go to Abraham's recording company and that she wanted to kill him and the family members who were there as well. But the whole motel and the surrounding area was already closed off by the police, so she had nowhere to go. And one of the police officers spotted Yolanda from his car. He drew his gun and he ordered Yolanda to get out of her vehicle. Of course, she didn't want to collaborate, so they decided to block her car. Eventually, Yolanda decided to put up the gun and point it to her head, and she threatened to end herself. This forced the police to get a SWAT team and an FBI crisis negotiation unit to negotiate with her. They talked to her via phone and tried to convince her to get out of the car. But Yolanda was hysterical and wanted to know where Selena was and how she was doing. When they told Yolanda that Selena was brought to the hospital, she decided to start talking. She told the police officers that it was all an accident and that she never meant to hurt Selena, which was of course a very convincing story. It took 4 hours before she started to tell her version of the story, and Yolanda claimed that she intended to shoot herself instead of Selena. She told them that she pointed the gun to her own head and that Selena had tried to stop her. She told them that Selena opened the door and that she tried to tell Selena to close it, but while she was saying it, she was pointing towards Selena and suddenly the gun just went off. And of course we all know this is a load of bullshit. After the 6th hour, Yolanda agreed to give herself up, but she noticed a police officer was pointing a rifle at her. She was already leaving her car, but this caused her to panic, go back to her truck, go back inside and once again point the gun at her head. After 9 hours, close to 10, she finally decided to turn herself in. And when that happened, hundreds of Selena fans had already gathered around the motel. And many of them were crying because they already knew Selena's fate. It wouldn't be long before everyone knew who Yolanda was and what she had done. Yolanda got arrested and she was of course first innocent until proven guilty, but of course it was very obvious what had happened. When Selena arrived at the hospital hours before Yolanda got arrested, her pupils were fixed and dilated, which means that there is no evidence that she had any neurological functions working. There were no vital signs and she was already declared brain dead. Selena, the queen of Tejano, beloved daughter and wife, was already dead on the spot. And even though the doctors already knew that, they wanted to do everything to try to bring her back. They tried to transfuse blood in an attempt to re-establish blood circulation, but when they opened Selena's chest, they found a massive internal bleeding, which made it impossible. Selena had lost too much blood, so everything they tried to do was in vain. Selena was pronounced dead at 1:05 p.m. at the young age of 23 from blood loss and cardiac arrest. And the sad thing is that if the bullet was 1 millimeter higher or lower, the wound could have been less severe and there was a chance that she might have survived this ordeal. Of course, the news that Selena had died was devastating for the whole country, and especially, of course, the Latin community was very heartbroken about this all.
Customers came searching for CDs, cassettes, t-shirts, anything of Selena's. They also came to share their grief.
It did not take very long before the news of Selena's death had spread. And due to very overwhelming media attention, the autopsy on Selena's body was performed only 3 hours after she had died. Many people believe that she might have been pregnant during this, but the autopsy revealed that this was not the case. And on April 1st, a vigil was held at Bayfront Plaza in Corpus Christi. It drew 3,000 fans, and during this vigil it was announced that the public viewing of the casket would be held at the Bayfront Auditorium the next day. The line of the people who wanted to pay respect to Selena was almost a mile long. And an hour before the viewing started, people started to speculate that the chest was empty, which forced the family to have an open casket viewing, which sickens me because they are already so heartbroken by this all. And the public is just demanding to see their dead daughter / family member, which just makes me mad. About 30,000 to 40,000 people passed by Selena's casket. Taking pictures or videos was not allowed. On April 3rd, 1995, Selena's burial took place. 600 guests, mostly family members, attended the burial at Seaside Memorial Park in Corpus Christi. The burial was broadcasted live by 2 radio stations, but without the consent of the family. Hundreds of people began circling the area in their vehicles. The Hispanic community was of course devastated by Selena's death, especially in Texas. So therefore the governor of Texas, who was George W.H. Bush during that time, who later would become the president of America, declared that Selena's birthday would be known as Selena Day in the state of Texas, which was on the 16th of April.
Much of the current success of Tejano music is due to the enormous talent de una artista tejano de Corpus Christi, Selena Quintanilla Pérez.
The English album that Selena was working on was released on July 1995, and it was called Dreaming of You. It became a huge success. It broke records, and she became the 3rd female artist after Janet Jackson and Mariah Carey to sell over 300,000 units in 1 week. It also debuted 1 on the Billboard Top 200 chart, which made it the first album of a Latino artist to achieve this. The Motel became a place where many fans would come and go, and I think it still happens till this day. They of course wanted to see where Selena was shot and where she died, and eventually the motel was forced to rearrange the room numbers so that people couldn't know in which room Selena was killed. Let's go back to Yolanda. She was taken into the police station to be interrogated, and when she was surrounded by the police, she had yelled and screamed, "I can't believe that I have killed my best friend." But of course within hours she had changed her story that it was an accident. And since Yolanda was spotted while the police was trying to arrest her, it didn't take long before news outlets also covered the story and knew her identity. People who were around the motel during the shooting were telling news outlets their stories, and hardly anyone believed that Yolanda was innocent. The bail bond was set at $100,000, but eventually they made it higher and it became $500,000. People were very angry, and especially Selena fans, and they wondered why they didn't sought the death penalty for Yolanda. Many people threatened the Nuances country jail where Yolanda was staying, and there were even rumors that some gang members in Texas were raising money to bail Yolanda out and kill her when she was released. And while Yolanda was in custody, she also received a lot of death threats from other inmates. The Mexican mafia reportedly placed a price on Yolanda's head, and whoever would kill her would be a hero. A crime such as this could be punished with up to 99 years in prison and a fine of $10,000. In jail they kept Yolanda on a special watch, if you know what I mean, just before her trial started. It was very difficult to arrange a defense counsel because many people who would defend her could possibly get death threats. Any lawyer that would defend Yolanda would be in danger. But it worked out in the end, at least for that part of the story. Because the murder of Selena was a high-profile case, the trial was moved to Houston to ensure that there would be an impartial jury. They didn't want a circus like with the O.J. Simpson's proceedings, which was also taking place during that time, so the trial wasn't taped or televised. The trial began on October the 11th, and of course Yolanda pleaded to be not guilty. She kept ensuring that the shooting was an accident. It truly baffles me that she thinks that she could pull that off, because there was so much evidence. There were people who were there, who saw it, who heard it. So it was a lost case from the beginning. She literally yelled at Selena, ran after her and threatened her with a gun. And if it was an accident and someone was still alive, you would do absolutely everything to try to save that person. At least I think so. And she was also a nurse, so she knew how to help her, and she didn't do it. And if you want to pull the trigger, you have to put a lot of pressure on it. So it was impossible that the bullet came out of the pistol by itself. Surely there was more than enough evidence against Yolanda, and the judges gave the jury only one option. They could only charge her for first-degree murder. Manslaughter or negligent homicide were out of the question, and they were lesser sentences. The jury only needed 2 hours to deliberate, and on October the 23rd, 1995, Yolanda was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life imprisonment with eligibility for parole after 30 years on March the 30th, 2025, which she petitioned recently. People were of course very happy with this sentence, and they were celebrating outside the court. They were playing Selena's music, they were crying, they were feasting, they were dancing, and when Yolanda drove by, they almost spit on her car. They were so happy that justice was being served. On November the 22nd, 1995, Yolanda arrived at the Gatesville unit in Gatesville, Texas, and there she still remains incarcerated at the Patrick O'Daniel unit. And I don't know if she's still there or if she was there for a period, but she was forced to stay in isolation for 23 hours a day in her 9 by 6 feet cell because incarcerated Selena fans threatened to kill her, which serves her right. I mean that she was in that cell. And of course Yolanda never stopped lying, even in prison. She still comes up with new stories, with lies about Selena's family and lies about Chris' relationship with Selena. And when Yolanda cries, she cries out of self-pity. And until this day she still feels no remorse, and she still denies that she had killed Selena, even though she's found guilty.
You understand the loss of her to her fans.
It's tremendous. And not only to them, but to me.
But they want to know why you killed her.
I won't discuss that, because the truth is not out.
Yolanda claims that 2 weeks prior to the murder, she discovered videotapes damaging to Selena's career, and that she had a diary of Selena's that corroborated information on the tapes. In his purported letter, Lorenzo Salinas claims he was hired to beat up Yolanda, to retrieve the tapes and diary as part of a plot to extort Selena. Yolanda claims she was attacked, but managed to get away.
I guess I'll take it to my grave. I don't know where people are getting this, that I'm obsessed with Selena. It was a duty that she expected me to do. There was never an intentional to kill Selena. Never. There was never an intentional to do anything wrong to Abraham either, or Dr. Martinez. My intention was to relieve myself from all of that.
But why did you end up killing your best friend?
I didn't kill her.
I think she lied so much that she started to believe her own lies. And I know I talk about her as well, but I actually don't think Yolanda deserves all the attention she's getting. Luckily, there is a small victory, because earlier this year in March, Yolanda was denied early release from prison in Texas. She was given the possibility of parole after serving 30 years in prison. However, a 3-person Texas parole board denied her request. Now she will be eligible for parole again on March 30th, 2030. And I'm sure that she will be denied once again. And the reason why they denied her parole is because she still denies that she had killed Selena, and because of the nature of the killing. But I think if she was released, that there was a chance that she might not survive it, because many people are still super angry with her. The whole of TikTok is full with videos, people hating her, and when the parole was coming close, people said that they wanted to kill her themselves or that they would threaten her. So it's probably also safer if she stays in prison. Anyway, I was really glad when I heard that she was denied the parole. Even though Yolanda took Selena's life, she never took her legacy. Selena is still loved in the entire world by the later generations, but also the new generations who discover her music. She was La Reina de Tex-Mex for a reason. She and her band members revolutionized the genre with their bold new sounds combined with their Mexican roots. She inspired singers like Beyoncé to stand out in a male-dominated industry. She served looks, but she was also approachable and loved by her fans. After her death, many paintings, mural artworks and statues have been made in her honor. You can buy clothing with her face on it or makeup inspired by her looks. There is even a museum of her in her hometown Corpus Christi, which opened in 1998. It was opened by the family, especially for the fans who were longing for a place where Selena's memories were shared with the public. In 1997, a movie about her life was made, starring the very young Jennifer Lopez as Selena, and in 2019 a series on Netflix was also released. In 2017, Selena's family and her widow Chris Pérez attended her Hollywood Walk of Fame star ceremony, which she received posthumously. And in 2021, she received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammys. Of course, her fans also make sure that her legacy continues. They sing her songs, share covers, they buy her LPs or new vinyls that come out once in a while. She is just still there in a way. But most importantly, the people who knew her personally will always remember and cherish her memory. She will live on in their hearts and of course in the hearts of all the people who adored her as an artist. Selena was so much more than a rising star or a famous person who was killed. She was a cultural icon who had done so much for the Hispanic community. She was a source of pride for millions, and she still is. And she is the story of a person who made it in America. But of course we also don't forget her kind-hearted nature and her contagious smile. But the sad thing is of course that her kindness is one of the reasons why Yolanda was able to take her away from this earth. But her voice will live on and her legacy will only grow. Through her music, her fashion, her family and the love of her fans, she continues to inspire new generations. Therefore she's never truly gone, she's with us in a way. She was a very positive person who always saw the bright side of things, and she always saw the good side of people. And she will capture the hearts of many more people who will discover her in the future. And as the family has stated recently, we will celebrate Selena's life and not the tragedy that took her from us. And we ask all who cherish her to do the same.
When you're gone, how do you want to be remembered?
As not only as an entertainer, but as a person who cared a lot, and I gave the best that I could, and I tried to be the best role model that I possibly could, and the best person that I could. I tried to help out.
So this was my very long video about Selena. I think I took, let's see how late it is. I've been recording this for 2.5 hours, maybe even longer. But I really hope you like it. Of course it has a very tragic ending, but let's do what the family asks and celebrate her life. I really hope you enjoyed the nice parts of this video. Yeah, it's difficult to end a video when it's so a sad story with a bad ending. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, please subscribe. please give a like, and if you like it even more, you can subscribe to my channel. I will see you in October. I don't think I will be there in September because I have to make a lot of videos for the spooky season. But I will be there in the spooky season. And if you have any requests, let me know in the comments. I will say adios amigos, because Selena was Spanish, of course. So adios.